Hi, I'm Peter Kelly from PLK Max. We're a licensed estate agent here in Tipperary, Ireland, and we run a residential and landlord clinic called Know Your Rights. We do it once a month there in Limerick, and on alternative weeks there we have been doing it in Neenah and Rosscray, County Tipperary. Now, what's been happening is we've been having a number of issues come up in all of the clinics. It seems to be every single clinic that we have, some of the same issues arise on top of other things that do come in through the door. So what we've decided to do is we're going to do these videos. This is the first of, and the subject today that we're going to cover is deposits. It's a very simple subject. That's why I kind of picked it, purely because it's such a simple subject, but it creates so many problems that it shouldn't. Okay, a deposit. A deposit is the amount of money that is given over by a tenant to the agent or landlord. If it's given to the agent transfers that deposit to the landlord, and that's where it kind of stays until the end of the tenancy. Now, that deposit, let's say for argument's sake, it's €1,000, equal to the month's rent, which is €1,000. Sometimes the deposit can be more than a month's rent. It just depends on the landlord and the situation that's been set up at the beginning of the tenancy. But normally it's about equivalent to a month's rent. So let's say the month's rent's €1,000, the deposit is €1,000. Now, at the end of the tenancy, a walkthrough has been done, everything's been signed off on, everyone's happy. Then the deposit is handed back to the tenant as soon as possible. Sometimes it's done on the day. Other times, in a few days, it's sent to the tenant or transferred into their account, whatever the arrangement that's been made. But the tenant gets their full deposit back. Now, if there's a dispute in the amount that has to be handed back to the tenant, the landlord or agent will notify the tenant of what that dispute is about, what amount of money is actually owed. And let's say, for argument's sake, it's a rent arrears, and the rent arrears was about €200. And let's say on the walkthrough there was damage to a door that they had to get a quote for, and the tenant agreed that they had damaged the door during the tenancy and so forth. And the quote that was brought back was €100. So there's €300 in dispute. So now the landlord agent will look at keeping the €300, but they must then hand over the deposit, the balance of the deposit, which would be €700. They can't keep the whole lot until things are sorted out. If it's only part of a dispute, if only part of it is in dispute, that's the part that they hold back here, and the rest of it they must hand over to the tenant. If all of it is in dispute, let's say there was an entire month's worth of rent that was owed, then the landlord and tenant are quite within their right to keep the balance. But they must be able to prove this. I mean, they'd have there the rent arrears and the notices and so forth. If the tenant disputes it and says, I've paid all my rent, I have all my receipts right up until the last day, they can lodge a dispute with the Residential Tenancy Board on rtb.ie. It costs €15 to register a dispute online, and about €25 if you want to send it in through the post. But have all your ducks in a row, have all your evidence and so forth, and it'll be taken over by themselves. Now, back to the deposit again. As we just stated, even if there is a section of it that is in dispute, and the tenant wants to take it to the Residential Tenancy Board and so forth, as a landlord or an agent, you're to hand over the balance. So €300 owed, €700 to be handed over. And I think I've been as clear as I can. If you want to look up the section of the Tenancy Act, it's the 2004 revised to 2016 Tenancy Act. It is Part 2, Chapter 1. It's under Tenancy Obligations of Landlords and Tenants, Chapter 1, Section 12, and there's subsection 1D and subsection 4 that would be interesting to look at. Look, we'll see you at the next video. I'm Peter Kelly from PLK Max. Thank you very much for listening, and we shall talk soon.